everybody, and welcome to From the Sidelines. We are live currently on SportsFluence Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and X. And today I'm with one of my co-hosts, Cody, but we have a new co-host joining us on my right-hand side. Josh, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody? Tell us where you're from and why you decided to join our podcast.
Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Josh. I'm born and raised in Minnesota. Love every bit of it. Feel free to let me know if I sound like old bitch. Yeah, you know, eh? Let me know.
Will do.
Reason why I want to kind of join the platform because I love and breathe football. Been playing and coaching pretty much my majority of my entire life, and I'm very passionate about it. I feel like got some crazy fun insights and love talking ball.
Okay, cool. So Cody, everyone knows Cody from the last other episodes, and Jackson is busy trying to commute his way back home right now, and CJ just has a crazy work schedule, so it's going to be the three of us today. We're going to talk about what that topic just says up there. The NFL is rigged, the free agency proves it. So do you guys, first of all, before we get into our like specific moves and picks for the free agency, do you guys believe this is true? I'm going to start with the new guy, Josh. Do you think it is rigged, or do you think, maybe there's a little bit more insight you can give for that?
I guess depends who we want to ask. I mean, I think it's rigged a little bit because it seems like the rich get richer. And it's kind of sometimes a little bit the irony of why players will choose to say they're not about the money, but they actually do make it about the money, even with a subpar team, such as a Myles Garrett, this situation where he was going to hold out and not want to play, and it's not about the money. Oh, look, now here comes a lucrative deal, and now he's staying Cleveland like they're actually going to make a push for the Super Bowl. But that's that little tidbit on that part.
Fair enough. And Cody, do you think that this topic is true, somewhat, or do you think maybe we're stretching a little bit too far?
Yeah, I would say we're stretching a little far, but I mean, I think that the teams at the top definitely, you could tell, get the calls. I mean, as a Patriots fan for 20 years, I'm sure people around the league were just saying, hey, there was rigged for us for 20 years. And of course, we would get some of the calls, and now the Chiefs get that as well. So I think there's some things that can be a little bit kind of like swayed in other directions, especially to the top teams, top players, because at the end of the day, it's entertainment business, and they just want the best teams with the best players in there to make the most money and stuff like that. So I think it may be rigged a little bit, but totally rigged? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, no, we wanted to make some headlines so you guys can tune in and watch us talk about football, mostly the free agency right now, since we're so close to the actual draft. So we can talk about that in a little bit. But speaking of the Patriots, Josh, if you didn't know this, because I'm not wearing any memorabilia, I don't have memorabilia behind me, but I'm also a Patriots fan. Since I was, I don't know, probably like 20 or something like that. And that's actually, a lot of people think I look young, but that's a long time ago. And so, I am a Patriots fan, but I want to talk about something that Cody brought up to me, because I told you guys to gather up your thoughts and then put it down in a chat so you guys can't see what you want to talk about, but I can. And so Cody brought up an interesting fact about Stefon Diggs going to the Patriots. Yeah, so I want to talk about that. Cody, since you brought it up, is this a game changer for the team, or do we just have too many things to work on right now?
Yeah, I wouldn't go as far as game changer, especially coming off the ACL. He's a little older now. I like the move just because the need was obvious. I mean, they needed a wide receiver bad. I thought it was a bit of an overpay. Like, they gave him a lot, but I don't know if I would call it a game changer. I'd like to see what we do in the draft here in the next couple of weeks to see if we can really be a game changer. But it was nice to finally see them get an offensive weapon for Drake May, whatever that becomes. Yeah. I wouldn't call it a game changer, though.
Okay, fair enough. But what would the Patriots have to do in the draft to make it a game changer, for the fact that now you have Stefon Diggs and then you have these other factors X, Y, and Z in the draft? Like, what do they have to concentrate on? Do they have to concentrate on their O-line, defense? What is it, Cody? What do you think?
O-line for sure. They still
Yeah.
haven't gotten a left tackle this offseason, which is huge. And you want to protect your quarterback going forward. And then I would get more weapons. I mean, if you're just going to be like, okay, Stephon Diggs is it, that's not going to be enough. So I definitely get more weapons. Defense, they did really well, I think, in free agency with defense. They got a lot of good guys there, but maybe get some more defensive help as well. But yeah, I would say O-line first, and then maybe another weapon for Drake May as well.
Fair enough. And Josh, what do you think about this move for Stephon Diggs being in the Patriots?
All right. Obviously, Diggs started here in Minnesota, whatnot, fan favorite real quick. The players of the time just said, don't want him dating the sister. But in the meantime, we guys loved him from morning we got drafted to the Minneapolis Miracle, which I was there for, which is absolutely crazy.
Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy loud. Got pretty good deaf that day. But I think overall, I think he's chilled his diva days. I think is a little bit behind him. I want to say he's now starting to realize that, hey, not getting younger. And Patriots could be a good fit. I think overall it's a well-run organization. I think is a big factor having that veteran presence for Drake May to have. That's somebody who knows where he's going to be every single time for every single route. He is a crisp route runner, which is going to help him. It probably improve his accuracy a little bit, boost his confidence. I think a big thing is obviously now you got that big old payday, but now he has to show it staying healthy on the field because it doesn't really help if you're warm on the bench injured. So that's my take on that. And I definitely think maybe add another wide receiver in the draft, I think would be key. Obviously, you want to get focused on offensive line too. I think they can go either direction, doing best player available, or if you want to draft by need, as long as it you're not costing too much draft capital in the process.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair. Cody, do you have anything to say? Do you agree with what Josh is saying, or do you want to add anything to what has been said so far?
No, I agree. I mean, a healthy Stephon Diggs can really help Drake May, especially like you said, he's a good crisp route runner, good hands. So it's a very easy target to kind of keep and get that chemistry with. And yeah, I think the diva days are behind him. Maybe he was humbled a little bit getting traded from Buffalo to Houston and being like the 3 option last year. So maybe that helped a little bit. But yeah, I still like the move, but I mean, I don't think it's going to be the whole, like it's the end all be all for them, but I still like the move.
Yeah, it's fair. And speaking of Stephon Diggs, because Josh brought up the fact that he pretty much started in Minnesota. So I want to talk about what Josh brought up, one of the topics he did, which is the Vikings quarterback controversy. So yeah, that's everything. Cody's like, I'm nodding. Everybody's nodding about that. So Josh, since you brought up this topic, why don't you give some context to people that don't know? They probably do, but people that don't know what you're talking about when it comes to this.
So pretty much ever since, Kevin O'Connell took over the head coach, he's been labeled as the QB whisperer, which I want to disagree with that. I feel like he's any QB who he's had under center, from Josh Dobbs, learning the plays and calls within 2 minutes before jumping an Atlanta game and have the best 2-game stretch of his career, to Nick Mullins, turning him into the best gunslinger he could possibly, he got a little reckless with the ball, but to the from last year entry to this year, you having Jaden McCarthy, Daniel Jones in the mix too, and Sam Darnold all in the mix. First round quarterbacks are like, oh, it's a pretty deep quarterback room. And then you have, Sam Darnold playing lights out, best stretch that you could possibly ask for someone outplayed everybody's expectations. I'm going to say it myself, also me. I thought we were not going to get past, 6-8 wins, whatever Vegas was predicting at the time. He leaves. Now he's with the Seahawks. Getting that contract kind of similar that Baker Mayfield received. And then you had Daniel Jones, which I was hoping, learning out of the system, hey, that's going to be a bad option to have back up McCarthy, assuming his knee's injured. He's gone. And then you got just essentially McCarthy well known the system. And then you got Aaron Rodgers breathing down his neck. Apparently the Vikings, I don't know to what extent, entertaining conversations with him on, hey, who's in the quarterback? Is he going to come in and take another roster spot? And then hearing that, if I were to put myself in McCarthy's shoes, I got this old veteran guy, who who essentially thinks he's one of the best in the NFL, rightfully so, but he's declined over time. And then I feel like me personally, that would affect my confidence. I feel like, oh, you guys are going to entertain this guy, but you're not going to put all your eggs in one basket. I mean, y'all traded up to get me in the first round. I mean, sure, my knee might be a little bit bummed at the time, but I feel like I'm recovering well and build a good rapport with my team. Be entertaining this guy? I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough. Cody, what do you have anything to say about this quarterback controversy? Do you have any picks for them? Do you think Aaron Rodgers is a viable option? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm kind of up in the air with Josh as well. It's like, is the plan just to go with JJ McCarthy and roll with him for the future? Aaron Rodgers, I think that would be only like a 1-year rental, but would he come in and be that guy for them? And would he even mentor JJ McCarthy? Because he's not really known as maybe the nicest guy. He wasn't really great to Jordan Love or Zach Wilson. So yeah, so I don't know, man. Like, I've always kind of thought that Rodgers was going to end up in Pittsburgh, but like he's still dragging his feet there. So I don't know what's going on and how that's going to end up. But yeah, I liked JJ McCarthy coming out of Michigan. I still don't know if he's like the guy, but I mean, with the pieces they have there and Addison and Jefferson, Hawkinson, like you don't have to be a great, like you have the pieces. So that's probably what I would do. I'd probably roll with JJ McCarthy, go ahead and start your future now. Why, ruin 1 year with Aaron Rodgers that could potentially even ruin JJ McCarthy as well.
Yeah, exactly, guys. Yeah, Josh, go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, appreciate it. Because another big thing is like, honestly, us Viking fans, we hated Rodgers for time after time. We hated Brett Favre for all this time as well. Yeah. But the difference between that is, you hate to love Favre, right? So even when he joined the team, you hate to love him, love to hate him, and then Rodgers, we just hate him. Simple as that. For multiple reasons, not simply his ignorance and arrogance and whatnot, but I think what the Vikings have aimed to do is improve that culture in the locker room and whatnot, which you can tell from what the players are saying, the Vikings ranking from facilities, players' happiness, how they between. You throw this 41-year-old guy in there who wants to, take a hiatus and feel like he can come to camp wherever he wants because he wants to, hit the mountains and do meditation and amongst other things and whatnot.
Right.
When you're trying to build rapport with the team and whatnot, and I feel like his play is not really elevated. It's only declined a little bit. Like he's not as mobile. So I feel like he's so suffering from that Achilles injury. The arm strength is not where it used to be. Sure, he's a veteran presence. Sure, is he relatively accurate? Sure, but keep that game changer. It's a possibility that won't say locker room cancer, but until I see and hear otherwise, is it worth it? Because on top of that, working off that rookie QB contract, maybe throwing the mix of like his possible average of $30 million a year, kind of take a dip of what you're trying to build with that team. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you. I wouldn't screw up the chemistry there. I feel like you had really good chemistry with Sam Darnold, and now you just kind of move JJ McCarthy into that route. And Kevin O'Connell's already built that there. I wouldn't bring in Rodgers. But yeah, I mean, I guess if he wants to go full Brett Favre, you guys embraced him pretty quickly. But yeah, like you said, Favre was a little more lovable of a guy, where Rodgers isn't exactly that kind of guy. Like he's not that personality at all.
Yeah, I haven't heard from one Vikings fan like, yeah, absolutely bring him aboard. Not really heard one. Now, unless you can guarantee in a crystal ball, you sign him, you will get your first ever Super Bowl victory. I guess I'll tuck my tail and sign me up.
Right. Yeah, you could take maybe the NFC Championship game. That's where Favre took you. Would you take that?
There you go.
Would you take that?
As long as they're not throwing across the body.
Right. Yeah. Well, he doesn't do that like Favre does. Yeah. No.
We'll find out.
You guys, speaking of quarterbacks, we have to bring up something that Cody brought up to me earlier, which is Russell Wilson to the New York Giants. Okay. That's interesting because I love me some quarterbacks. So, and it's funny because you guys were talking about Aaron Rodgers, and I'm like, he technically is my favorite quarterback going into the NFL. But I do agree that he is not necessarily the warmest human being in the whole world. And then we can have a whole freaking podcast just talking about that whole thing. True. I know, right? We can literally just go off on that. But let's talk about that. Cody, since you brought it up, why don't you give some context to people that don't know about this move or this potential move? Why don't you explain to them, and then we'll get into it.
Right. Well, for me, it was just kind of confusing. I don't really know what the Giants are doing. They signed Jameis Winston, and then like a day and a half or 2 days later, they signed Russell Wilson.
Right.
And they also have the number 3 overall pick. We've heard that they could be in on Shadur Sanders. So are they going to go into camp with 3 quarterbacks? So that was just kind of confused by what they're doing there. I mean, only 1-year deals for both Winston and Wilson. So it's not like they're really like getting them for a long time, so they could still go Sanders. But that's kind of what I wanted to see more was like, okay, does this kind of show that they're not taking Sanders at 3? Are they going to go somewhere else? Because now you got 2 quarterbacks in there, 2 veteran quarterbacks. So I just thought it was weird. I mean, the Giants have kind of had weird moves, especially at the quarterback position for a while now, ever since Eli Manning retired. So kind of just continue what they're doing. I kind of feel bad for like Malik Neighbors and guys like that.
Yeah, Josh, what do you think about that move? Do you understand maybe a little bit more than Cody does why they actually decided to sign 2 veteran quarterbacks?
I really don't understand. Because signed Winston, I'm like, all right, cool, little gunslinger dude, great personality, fun guy in that locker room. And then you add another guy, of Wilson, and I'm like, why? What's the purpose of that? I understand if you have a QB and then a rookie quarterback you kind of draft this year, and then to have one of them two to kind of be the guidance and whatnot, and now you gotta have 2 guys fighting to who's gonna make the pump up locker room speech in the locker room, whatnot. I really understand 2 older guys, way far out of the prime to sign. It sounds like desperation. That's all it seems like it is to me, because they don't want to like just signing 2 safe backs. It sounds like they just. That the owner is just playing Madden and feel like he's signing whoever is out there, essentially.
Yeah.
I don't understand that really, but and then that might be just their way of solidifying that they might not draft a rookie quarterback and maybe get another receiving weapon for whoever's to win the QB battle.
Right. And Cody, were you the one I think that mentioned they had? Is it the third rounder or?
They have the 3rd overall pick. Yeah, they have the third.
Oh, they have the 3rd overall pick. Okay, that's what I thought. So, like, do you guys think it was wise to sign Russell Wilson to that 1-year deal and then also to Winston for that 1-year deal? Or do you think they should have drafted the rookie quarterback like most people thought they would? What do you think? Cody, I'll start with you first.
Okay. I'm okay with them signing one of the 2, and then you draft a rookie, give the rookie some time, give him some time to develop. I probably would have went with Winston. He seems like he's a little bit more willing to work with the rookie quarterback versus Wilson. But yeah, to sign them both, and then if they do turn around and take a quarterback, I feel like that's a loaded quarterback room and just kind of weird there. So I think that means they're moving on to maybe Travis Hunter or Carter or somebody like that. But yeah, I just thought it was weird. I still think because like you couldn't have like 2 more different personalities at the quarterback position than Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. So it's just gonna be like it's gonna be weird vibes in the locker room as well.
For sure. And Josh, do you think it was a smart move to sign those 2 quarterbacks, or do you think they should have signed the rookie quarterback and just signed one of the quarterbacks?
Yeah, I personally don't agree, and I don't understand the move in general. Why you just sign 2 older quarterbacks also for both 1-year options? I don't understand that. If you want to crisscross them a pattern, sure, I guess that makes some sort of sense, especially if like one has a lingering injury, perhaps a promise going behind it. No, I don't understand that. I could imagine trying to make that make sense of it. I mean, with it, I'm sure they'll probably explain it, leading prior to the draft. But in this during going this pattern, I'd say probably stick with that and just go get yourself a receiving weapon, like what Cody said of Travis Hunter.
Exactly. Yeah. Here's the thing: if they actually signed these veteran quarterbacks, at least one of them, for a multi-year deal, then it would make a little bit more sense. Then, right? Signing both of them to a 1-year deal. I mean, like, I don't know where their heads at. Like, clearly, it might be a good thing for other teams because they might not go for that rookie quarterback, which is and this draft apparently, according to many people, isn't very quarterback friendly per se, right? Not many to choose from, and so might be a good thing for those teams. And if they're going in that direction, then let them go in that direction. But what I want to bring up next is something that Josh sent to me, which is because he's such a Vikings fan, we got to talk about the key players that the Vikings should draft. And Josh, if give the listeners a context of like what overall picks they have, right? And which one do you think they're going to pick in the draft?
All right. So because the moves we've been making in the past couple of years, we don't have as many picks as we do this year. I think at the moment we are picking number 24, and we do not have a second round pick. Um, because of that, I don't know. It depends if they really follow those players as much as I do. Like this one safety who balled out at the NFL Combine is that South Carolina safety Nick Ingram. How you say his name? He was like a 6'3", strong, fast, whatnot. And you just lost Cam Bynum to the Colts, right?
Yeah.
And then you have Harrison Smith, who's not getting any younger. He's pretty much taking it year by year. I think he'd be a great fit with the Minnesota Vikings. He might be a tad more on the raw side, but he can play multiple different positions. And with Blind Forest, the DC for the Vikings, who lets you get creative with splits, packeted coverages and whatnot, and utilize those kind of weapons, I would 100% think the Vikings go with him if he falls that far. If you feel like to trade up a little bit and sacrifice additional, draft capital, but if you feel like he is the guy, take him. Outside of that, even though we just signed a few players of Jonathan Allen and Hargrave, but they are a tad bit on the older side. I don't think you should just simply rely on them in case, God forbid, they are getting winded or their age might really come to fruition this year. Guys such as who's the Michigan guy, Kenneth Grant, and then you got the other defensive lineman of Derek Herman, and the dudes that made recent highlights of his pro day of Desmond Watson, that big Florida boy who was like 6'4", 6'5", 400 something odd pounds. He's projected to fall to like the 7th round, which I think is kind of crazy, but I get he's kind of raw. But if Vikings want to get that, we have that meats guy. I think it's a great guy to learn under these veterans and whatnot. And can you imagine what kind of athlete he'd be if he trains and learns and develops the learn behind the veterans? I can see you taking a little swing at him.
Yeah, it's fair. Cody, before we go into what you think the Patriots should draft, obviously I'm very invested in this as well. Do you agree with what Josh is saying in terms of like people that he thinks that the team should draft? Do you think maybe these are other options that are better? What do you think?
No, yeah, I agree. I mean, you look at the Vikings team; they have pretty good roster. They have good roster, so they have pretty again, especially on the offensive side. Maybe offensive line later in the draft might be decent, somewhere like interior offensive line. But I think defense is the way to go. Defensive line, secondary, like he said, I think that's the way to go because you're playing, in the conference or in a division with some good quarterbacks. You got Goff and Love, and then see if Caleb Williams starts to develop even more. So maybe play a little more better defense on the back end. But yeah. I mean, they don't have a lot of holes on their roster, so that's a good thing to have. Unlike my Patriots, we do have quite a bit of holes, so so that's a little bit different. So yeah, no, it's a good luxury to have. They've made some moves and developed a good team there.
There you go. So what I want to talk about before we head on to talking about what the Patriots should draft in this year's draft, which is only a few weeks away in Lambeau Field, by the way. Do you think that I remember I brought this up maybe in the first or third episode that we did about the Patriots, Mike Vrabel saying we are not going to go to draft certain players. We're gonna focus on our O-line. We're gonna focus on our defense. Do you think that's the way to go, Cody, or do you think we should have went for some of the superstar free agents that were mentioned in the previous episodes?
I mean, I think we tried to go after guys. We tried to get Chris Godwin, tried to get DK Metcalf. I think they're still trying to get other guys. It just hasn't happened. So, yeah, I think if you look at the teams that have won recently, the Chiefs and the Eagles, they don't have those the Eagles have good wide receivers, but that's not how they won. They won with defense and running the football with Saquon Barkley. And then the Chiefs won with, Kelsey and that defense and Mahomes making plays. So I think if you build up your line, both your lines scrimmage, play good defense, that's going to help go a lot further. And then, you can get those nice toys at wide receiver maybe later on.
Fair enough. So I guess in the draft, what picks do we have overall? And who do you think should be in those picks if you were the Patriots GM?
So we're sitting at the number 4 overall pick, and then I think in the second round it's like 36 or 38. I think it's 38.
Not bad.
Yeah, not bad. So we can get 2 picks in the top 40, which is nice. My dream scenario is if Abdul Carter, the defensive end from Penn State, somehow drops the 4. That would be my dream scenario. I would take him like in a heartbeat because I think he's the best overall player in the draft. If he's not there, a lot of people are on Travis Hunter. I don't know. I'm not sold on Travis Hunter because we don't need Patriots don't really need a corner now that they signed Carlton Davis and you got Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah.
And like, is he? I don't know if he's probably like a wide receiver 2 or 3 in the NFL. So if Carter's not there, I think Will Campbell would be a nice move. Put him at the left tackle position. He's a tackle out of LSU. Now there's some weird stuff coming out on him that his arms are short or something like that, whatever that means. But yeah, so that's probably what I would go as offensive line if Carter's not there. And then you can start to address maybe the wide receivers in the later rounds.
Okay, I kind of understand where you're coming from. I think, do you think it's best that we don't sign anybody else, that something like a DK Metcalf, like someone like that? Or do you think it would only be beneficial to us? And on top of that, we already have the number 4 overall pick. And on top of that, we have the second round 36 or something like that pick. So do you think we should keep like being stubborn and try to sign these veterans or like superstars? What do you think about that?
I should know who's available at this point. I think your only option is like maybe Brandon Ayuk, but he's coming off an injury as well. And then I think like because the free agent market's pretty much kind of dry. You got like Keenan Allen out there or like Tyler Lockett. They'd be decent options for a couple years, but is it really going to move the needle too much for them? Probably not. But I don't know. It's tough because Patriots historically do not draft wide receivers well at all, except for like late in the draft, unless it's like Edelman or like someone real late in the draft. But early in the draft, they just don't draft wide receivers well. So I don't know. It's tough, but that was Belichick, so that's totally different program there and totally different things going on. So I still would like to go defense or offensive line in the first round. I don't think there's any receivers good enough to take a number 4 overall. I think we'd be kind of reaching a little bit, but if they do, I do like the kid out of Arizona, McMillan, if they do want to pick something that high, but I think that would be a little bit high for him.
Yeah, that's fair. Josh, what do you think? I don't know if you're not a super keen Patriots fan. I totally understand if you aren't, but what do you think about what Cody and I were talking about in terms of picking certain people, focusing on this line and such? And so what do you think?
I mean, I definitely admire the Tom Brady run, and we will say that. I admire it, had no issues with it. They can say Deflategate all they want. I don't care. His resume speaks for itself.
Yeah.
But what Cody brought up on kind of teeter-tottering, I want to do the Travis Hunter thing. I think he's a definitely intriguing prospect for sure. But my only thing is, what is he going to play in the NFL? And then you got to think because he is a really good athlete, but you really got to think about when it comes to when the team decides to hit a film room and whatnot. You're going to have the receiver film room and you got the corner film room where he's going to be going to. And you get at the point of, say, if he is, mainly only playing receiver, but you're getting absolutely dragged time at the time on the defense, then constantly getting bombed, or vice versa. Do you want to throw him in and take that chance of, okay, we might get injured and we might be a little too gassed to play. If you only play as corner, you absolutely need some sort of spark on offense. Do you same thing? Do you want to keep him on the sideline, keep him trying to be healthy, or trying to create that spark on offense that the quarterback might need?
Yeah, that's fair. And I have a question before we move on to the next topic. Do you guys think that when it comes, and this might be an obvious kind of question and answer, but I just have to ask, like, if you were a veteran quarterback, wide receiver, running back, whatever, or like somewhat of a superstar that just went into free agency, but let's just say this is gonna sound really wrong, Cody, I'm so sorry, but the Patriots, let's say the Patriots want to sign you to, like, I don't know, a multi-year deal, but you're like, it's like the Patriots have so many holes in their game. Like, do you think that that's a huge factor in why maybe certain teams don't get the players that they want? I'll start with Cody first because I used our team as an example.
Yeah, I definitely think that can. I think that was an issue last year when they had Mayo and then there was no quarterback because the draft hadn't come around yet. think this year Vrabel and Mays had a decent rookie year. I think you kind of can sell more people on it, but no, I definitely think that's a factor. If you're a wide receiver and you don't know who your quarterback is, or you don't know who your offensive coordinator is going to be, why would you want to go there unless they're just going to throw like a giant like bag at you? But even then, it's like, yeah, I think that's a big thing. Yeah, because DK Metcalf was traded to Pittsburgh, but I don't know if he would have just willingly went to Pittsburgh, not knowing who their quarterback's going to be.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And like, Josh, what do you think? Do you think what I said has a lot of merit to a lot of players not going to certain teams?
Yeah, definitely. But it depends. Like I said, it depends on who's going to throw the bag at them, or also like what draws other teams, like get me biased, like what their culture is like too. So and what their surrounding players are. So it could be a big thing. Who is the quarterback going to be? Because I absolutely agree. I don't think DK Metcalf might have went there on his own if he did not know who the quarterback was.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if he would go on there on his own, if he thinks that Aaron Rodgers is going there, then that might deter it. Otherwise, yeah, culture could be a big thing, or if someone just simply just trying to chase the money, that could absolutely be a factor too. Everybody's a little bit different.
Right, that's fair. I think like if we were all players, I wish I could be, but if we were all players, like I feel like I would definitely keep the whole money situation. Yeah, okay, yeah, fine. You're throwing me this bag, fine. We'll compare it. But I think not knowing your quarterback, not knowing who your key players are, not even knowing your offensive coordinator or even like the head coach for some teams, like I think that would definitely affect my decision on whether I want to sign with a team or not. So speaking of which, I think one of you guys brought up Aaron Rodgers. That's like the holy grail topic that everybody's like questioning, where the hell is he gonna go this year? Maybe just this year. But that's everybody, what everybody is talking about. It's on their mind. I see like tons of memes about like Aaron Rodgers struggling with like retirement or the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like there's so many things out there that are talking about that. But Josh, what do you think is going to happen with Aaron Rodgers? Do you think he's going to sign with Pittsburgh, or it's definitely going to be like a 1-year contract to another team? What do you think?
I think Steelers organization has a great foundation time after time. I think it's a great place to go, great foundation. It's just to be a matter of fact, the two mutual parties would be able to, be able to handle this professionally in a well mannered. And I don't think, Tomlin is going to tolerate, like what I said, him taking a hiatus, doing meditating in the mountains or whatnot. But I do think he could elevate that team for sure better than, Justin Fields did, as well as Russ Wilson. Where I think he should go, I think he should go into retirement. Because he's at the age that he is now, but it's also not fair that he loves power control and whatnot, and hence why I think he's truly enjoying all the media attention and whatnot. Teams, trying to wait and see what he's gonna do and whatnot. I actually think he's looking at the chops for that, and I don't think it's really professional of Aaron Rodgers to do that. But he don't care because he has a Super Bowl ring on his hand and he can do whatever he wants. I think. I think the teams should say just. Hit the peace sign to him and see you later, dude. You do whatever you want to do, but we're not going to be the people to wait around for you.
That's fair. Cody, what do you think? Do you think he's going to sign for that 1 year, or do you think Josh has the point? Maybe retirement is more appealing to him.
Yeah, I mean, I think he will sign with the Steelers, but I think that the clock's ticking. I think it's ridiculous that he's still playing games at 41 years old. Like he's 25 and so I think it's ridiculous that he's doing that, but I think the clock's ticking because, I mean, if he doesn't sign with the Steelers by like the draft, I could see them moving on and be like, okay, we'll take Jackson Dart in the first round, or we'll take quarterback the second round and just move on. So I think, and then that would be, I think his options are like Josh said, Steelers or retirement. Maybe the door is still open a little bit for the Vikings, but I don't think they're going to play the games for him either. Yeah, I don't think they want to play those games. And if you really want to have your second-year quarterback be with this guy, I think that would be really toxic. So maybe retirement is the best option for him. You can go do all the stuff in the mountains that you want to do. You can do all the stuff you want to do. You can go on McAfee every day if you want, because you don't have to worry about going to practice. So it's like maybe that is the best option for him. He's going to the Hall of Fame. Like there's no doubt about it.
We all know that.
So does it help his legacy if he goes to another team? Because I think the Jets kind of hurt his overall legacy the year that he was there. So I think eventually he'll sign with the Steelers in the next 2 to 3 weeks. But if he doesn't by the draft, I could see them telling him to, go kick rocks, and then maybe he has to go to retirement.
Exactly. Yeah, Josh's like, hell yeah. I totally agree, right?
But the thing about this is the fact that Steelers absolutely is, I think, the best option, but was still on the table despite the Vikings saying, as for now, we're going to commit to McCarthy. But I would not be surprised, after draft and coming into offseason, the training camp or whatnot, is say if McCarthy's knee, it's kind of lingering now, whatnot, and does he pull a Favre, coming on a private jet and here to save the day during training camp, and want to have try to do what Favre couldn't, and bring a ring to the organization, and you can hoist that. And the downside of that, you're gonna have fans on each side of the scale, like, God, I kind of hate this guy though, but man, if he does bring us this though, and then you got the conversation to have, Aaron Rodgers will go like, yeah, because of me, y'all won your first Super Bowl ring.
Right.
That's how to grind my gears to no other.
Right. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I think what I want to happen is I want Aaron Rodgers to go to either Pittsburgh. The Vikings would be interesting. I think that would be something that I would be more invested in. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, like you guys said, like Cody mentioned, like there's no way the coach is gonna be like putting up with this crap. Like, no, that's not gonna happen. So, and it's funny because everyone always questions why I like Aaron Rodgers so much. I'm like, I get it. Outside of the field and everything, he is a bag full of drama and more. But on the field, he is brilliant. It's just that he's like getting older. He's getting more injured. It's pretty obvious. It's like the road that many quarterbacks that are older get to, some better than others. But I think that we're going to move on to a topic that Josh brought up, which is his third topic, which is the NFC North rankings. Okay. It's a good one. I was looking up the teams and stuff, and I was like, oh, this is actually harder than I thought. But I'm going to go to Josh first. I know, right? Cody, you can think about it while we talk to Josh. I know, right? And Josh, what do you think? What are your rankings so far in the NFC North?
All right, so I gotta swallow my pride a little bit. The little brother who's learned to ride his bike now, the Lions, I think, is going to take that first spot. I think it's going to take a slight decline though, because they lost both their OCE and the DC. I think it's a big factor on how they do it, but overall they still get the nucleus of players that help them get them there. I think they're about 12-5, give or take, with that. As much as it kills me to say that, but I think Vikings will be second and give or take about 10 wins, because how deep the roster is from offense to defense and special teams. I think it's solid all around. The only factor is the unknown. McCarthy is need to hold up and how he's going to handle the pressure. He's already got the mental game figured out now. Learning and how to conduct yourself in the NFL, how to prepare and everything else between. He's already got that kind of narrowed down, but can he handle a game type situation where he has to elevate the team in the fourth quarter 2-minute drive? Can he handle it? Is along with the knee holding up, that's a whole other factor. Then you got the Packers, who are a steady young team overall. Can go either way. Their receivers overall kind of did not help them, but I think the having Jacobs on the team was pretty huge. Had to help get their roster and more even out attack with the offense. And defense is pretty solid overall as well, like what they did picking up the safety from the Giants. I forgot his name off the top of my head, pretty solid, and definitely helps out where they can get a little gutsy on the front end. And then you got the Bears, who shiny new toy, Caleb Williams and whatnot, but they got a lot of pieces they're buying around, but you can't, as the Eagles showed like a decade plus, you cannot buy a Super Bowl team. And it's not, you can super team all you want, but it starts and ends with the quarterback. They touch the ball every single play. And he did not show me that he is able to be a leader. I think he got dramatized too much on the field when the time is needed, whatever. Your body language says a whole lot about you. So if you're slumped over on the bench or you're just laying on the field or whatnot, just kind of wondering what's going on, veterans and young people like to look at that like that's who's supposed to lead us. I don't know, man. That's kind of where I'm at there. So I think they're gonna be kind of sitting in the. I'm being gracious with a 7 wins max for the season.
Okay, I'm gonna give Cody a little bit of a break. I agree with what Josh said, but I think, and I might be stretching it, but like I get why people would say that the Lions would win that division. I do agree with that, but it's just we just talked about how there's not many holes in the roster of the Vikings, and I'm not trying to be like, oh Josh, this is your team. I want their team to be number one. But like we gotta consider, like, imagine if they got their quarterback situation like dealt with. What if they did sign Aaron Rodgers? Then what? Then that maybe changes the game for that division, right? So like we don't know yet. I don't like the fact that Rodgers is like procrastinating or whatever the hell he's doing, not signing anything. Just go ahead and do something or retire. Like, at this point, you're just like making us nervous at this, right? So I think that the Vikings have a good chance if they get their quarterback situation figured out to win the division, only because when I see them more as like I see the Lions. How do I phrase this? It's gonna be like so hard because I feel like we're gonna have a lot of Lions fans like watching or something. But sometimes I just don't think that they're like playoff worthy in terms of like they got far. I'm not saying that they're not they can't like win certain playoffs and like get to the Super Bowl, but I don't know. It just kind of disappointed me last year. I had so many high hopes. I think we all did. I think we all, whether we're fans of them or not, we all sat down and we said, yeah, no, the Lions have a good chance of winning this year's Super Bowl, but that just didn't happen. I feel like there's more things that they have to work on that many people don't talk about. And so I'm going to go to Cody first. Cody, what do you think about what I said? And then why don't you give our listeners the rankings for the NFC North?
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you guys on a lot of it. And yeah, there's still some question marks for the Lions. I mean, you lose you're both your coordinators. That's huge. And I think the question mark for me has been Dan Campbell. I think Dan Campbell's a good coach, but I think he's just over aggressive to me. I feel like sometimes I'm just like, hey man, kick the field goal. You don't always have to go 4th down. I thought that cost him 2 years ago against the Niners, where they probably should have been in the Super Bowl. He kicks a couple field goals, maybe they're in the Super Bowl, but I still have them as number 1 in the division just because that team's just so talented, especially with all the injured players coming back. Aiden Hutchinson, guys on the defense coming back, they should be really good. And I would have if Sam Darnold decided to stay with the Vikings, I think it would be almost like a 1A, 1B scenario. But I think there's just more of a question mark with JJ McCarthy. I see like they're the second best team in the division, so I would have the Vikings at 2, just because their roster. I still think there's very little holes, and they seem to draft pretty well too. So I think the Vikings are number 2, and at 3 and 4 was kind of a toss up for me because I know a lot of people are high on the Packers. I'm not high on the Packers, to be honest. I love. Is a little overrated. I feel like he has a good stretch, and then he'll follow it up with a terrible stretch. So I think he's a little overrated. I think they have 4 pretty good wide receivers, but they don't have any elite wide receivers. And Jacobs is good, but they're deep. I'm going to keep them at 3 just because I got to see Chicago do it before I can give them any credit.
Yeah.
So I'll keep them at 3, but I think Chicago could be coming for them. I'm a little bit more of a Caleb believer than some people are. Just because I watched a lot of USC football when he played there. So I think he has the potential. But yeah, the character question marks are there. He's got to mature a little bit. They've basically given him everything he needs. So if they don't succeed this year, it's probably going to be on him. So if he can play up to his potential, I think they could be the 2 or 3 team, but I'll keep them in the 4th position. But yeah, this may be the deepest division in the NFL. Just 3 teams made the playoffs last year. And I mean, shoot.
Exactly.
If they just play to their potential, they could be a potential playoff team. But that's always what the Bears are, if they can get to their potential, and they never seem to get there.
Yeah. It's kind of sad because like they have a lot of their fan base is crazy. I don't know if you guys know a lot of Bears fans, but they're just like diehard, like forever like Bears fans, no matter how they're not doing well, just like the same as Patriots and stuff like that. So I understand that. I think my whole thing with I agree with you guys. I think I don't know why I'm putting the Vikings as number one. Maybe because Josh is it's just right there. So maybe I'm
Oh
trying
man,
to.
he's influenced you.
You know what? It's not. It's. I think it's all of us talking about the fact that they have the potential to do great things. So I think that's why I'm not just putting the Lions first. And let's talk about when I talked about the Lions. Guys, you don't understand. Like I've been to that stadium in Detroit. It's not the best stadium. I'll say that. It's not an open
It's
stadium.
Detroit, so
It's
yeah.
Detroit.
Yeah.
No offense to people, but
Yeah.
anyways, it's just like I've been to that stadium. I've watched a few games. I've seen them kick when Rodgers was still on the Packers. Like they kicked their ass, you know. And I just like I had so much hope for them. So like, what do we think about going into this season coming up in September? Like, what do you think is going to happen with the Lions? Are they just going to make it to the playoffs, but then they're not going to go further than, you know, wild card round or whatever? What do you think, Cody? I'm going to you first.
Okay. I think they'll still have a solid team. Like I said before, I think they're really talented.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's going to be more on Dan Campbell to pick up more of that slack because you had great coordinators. I mean, Ben Johnson was one of the better offensive coordinators, and Aaron Glenn was a really good defensive coordinator as well. So he's going to have to pick up that slack, and pressure's going to be on because last year, your number one seed, what was it, 14, 15 wins, and then you lose to a rookie quarterback in the first round. So or not the first round, but their first game because they got the bye, but still. Yeah. So I think the pressure's on because now Detroit's no longer just like, oh, they're the cool story. The Lions are good. And now people expect you to be good. So the pressure's going to be on them. And I mean, I like Jared Goff as a quarterback, but how much longer can they keep him as their guy? Is he a guy that can take them over the top? I just don't know about that. That's a question mark for me too.
True. Josh, what do you think about the Lions? Do you think I have a point there? Do you think maybe I'm just like overreacting and they're probably going to go pretty far this year? What do you think?
I don't know. I think losing those seasons, I think is going to take a big hit. Because a lot when it comes to play calls, is a lot of schematics, and now their genius brains are taking their schematics elsewhere, and now it's going to rely on Campbell. What I do love is aggressiveness, but I think it's going to start to catch up to him even more. I think they might go to the playoffs again, but be another one and done. To be honest. I'd be lying if I didn't say I was hooting and hollering at work when I was watching Washington absolutely take it to them. I was a diehard Washington fan that day.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll find out. I think Goff, is closer playing wise as Kirk Cousins that a lot of people think. Maybe a little bit more mobile, but I think he doesn't really, elevate the team too much. I think if it wasn't for all the speed that is on that offense, could Goff get away with what he's been doing for his tenure there? From both the running backs, the receivers, and whatnot, there's a lot of gimmicky plays and a lot of things that relies on speed. If the guys weren't as fast as they were, I don't know if they had the chance to make the playoffs. Sure, would the defense take a big hit? Absolutely, but that's the nature of the game. So we'll think they get a little bit better. But I think they'll be a one and done if they do make the playoffs.
Yeah, that's fair. Cody, do you have anything else to add? I wanted to segue into a subtopic before we go and log off for today. Do you have anything to add to what Josh just said?
No, I think we're all kind of on the same page. I think we all think they're going to be good, but not great. They probably take a step back. Yeah, I think one and done. Maybe they win the division, maybe a wild card, but I don't see them as a top end Super Bowl contender this year.
So let's talk about why they lost, because I unfortunately was working when that game was there, so I didn't get a chance to figure out what happened, but I just know they lost, and I was like, wait, what? Like, the team that was supposed to go to the Super Bowl this last year lost? Like, that first, whatever you want to call it, round? So like, why did they lose? Was Washington just prepared so well? They like covered all their bases. Was it more like that, or was Washington always the better team, but for some reason the Lions didn't show up that day? What do you think? I'll start with Josh first.
I think the reason why they were not able to make as far as they did, and will continue not to, because a lot of it is playoff experience. That's kind of huge on how you want to, how your team prepares and whatnot. I think They got too much of the emotions, living off the high of being the Vikings and whatnot handsomely, and think, oh, well, it could beat a team like this that easy. This rookie quarterback to watch and it's going to be even easier. And I don't think they're prepared for what Daniels was able to do to him. For somebody who has shown that poise, who I do think should have been the first overall pick and not Caleb. Proved it does not matter. He, from throwing a dart for a touchdown to getting absolutely annihilated on the sack, he's still stone cold face every time. I'm like, that is a guy who cannot be phased and who's going to lead this team to a victory. And trying to show it time and time again. He put the faith in their team, and the team showed it right back as well. I think a big factor, as well as the head coach having some playoff and Super Bowl experience, I think shown how to prepare the right way and not to get in your emotions, and how to prepare if you're to play with the lead as well as behind.
Fair enough. Cody, what do you think about what I just said?
Yeah, I think kind of what Josh said as well. I think they kind of came in overconfident. Maybe didn't take the Commanders as seriously. Maybe they're already looking ahead. Hey, we're worried about the Eagles and getting to the Super Bowl. Didn't take the Commanders as seriously. I think the Commanders scored on like 6 of their first 7 possessions or something like that. It was just unreal. So, and then Goff had a bad game. He had a couple of interceptions. He fumbled. So you can't do that when you're behind and your defense can't get any stops. So I think that was kind of a wake-up call for them. Maybe they can respond this year to that. But yeah, number 1 seed. I don't think the Lions have been the number 1 seed since like the Barry Sanders days, basically. So came a little overconfident and took the Commanders lightly, and then just didn't play well on defense. You can't give up 6 touchdowns in the first 7 possessions and expect to win, or 6 scores and expect to win. Yeah,
for sure. And okay, last thing before we log off, because I don't know why I'm in this like tunnel hole of just talking about NFL topics right now. So you guys, I think one of you mentioned is Goff going to be the one that will take them over the edge and to the next point in the playoffs and like to get to the Super Bowl and stuff like that. Do you like which quarterbacks besides Mahomes? I think everybody can talk about like how great he is, if you like him or not. But besides him, who do you think in terms of quarterbacks can take and lead a team to the next round of the playoffs, to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl? I'm gonna start with Cody first. Didn't give you much time to think, Cody, but I'm sure you have in your head.
That's okay.
Yeah.
For me, I think the top person there would be probably Josh Allen. I know Jalen Hurts just did that, but I think that's more of like a team effort there versus the quarterback. I would say Josh Allen would be my next quarterback that could take his team over the top. I mean, he's been there every time. I feel like they lose right at the end against the Chiefs. Maybe they finally get over that hump, or maybe someone else knocks out the Chiefs and they get to play someone else. I would like to say Lamar Jackson, but I just don't know. The playoffs performances to me are just they're too much of a question mark. So I love Lamar Jackson. I think he's an awesome player. He's one of my favorite players to watch, but it's just whenever the playoffs come, he has like a good game, and then he goes up against the Bills or the Chiefs or better teams, and just can't keep up with them. So I would say Josh Allen for now. I'd love to say Joe Burrow too, but they don't have the team to get there.
Yeah, exactly. Josh, what do you think? Which quarterback or which quarterbacks can go and take their team to the next level, whether it be playoffs or Super Bowl? What do you think?
I think we can all agree that we're all kind of waiting on the Bills and Josh Allen.
Yeah.
They're there time and time again. They're just like the Vikings, who've never won a Super Bowl, but also been there 4 times. He's somebody who I think has played with less and able to still thrive through that, which is absolutely crazy. As much, I think it's kind of Tom Brady-esque on not having like the most flashiest weapons possible, but gets the job done. With the Bicep, he has the advantage of his legs. So I think Josh Allen, I think Bill should, give him the weapons he needs to help thrive, because he did not have much last year and still balled out. I definitely think that's something that go there too. Otherwise, what Cody brought up of Lamar Jackson, I think he has a crazy run game, but Derrick Henry replicate that crazy season all over again. But I think help him out with giving an additional crazy wideout to help him doesn't have to run that much, because people still have that joke that Lamar Jackson is essentially just running back playing quarterback.
Exactly. I agree. Like, I was waiting for one of you guys to say Josh Allen, because I was thinking that, and like again, every time the Bills face the Chiefs in like a really big game, I'm always doing something like else. And I just remember like saying like, oh, I can't believe they lost again. And do you think it comes down to just like, you know how the Eagles, when they faced the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, they prepared so hard for their defense. They like worked so hard to make sure that was a thing. They eliminated their key players on the Chiefs. Like, do you think it boils down to like just how prepared they are, or they're just kind of trying to do like the best offense they can do, and then all of a sudden the Chiefs at the end, they like, you know, bring out their big guns and they score ahead of the Bills? What do you think? I'm gonna go to Josh first. What do you think about what I just said?
Yeah, I definitely think kind of piggyback of what we all said earlier. I think how you prepare is absolutely huge. So for the Super Bowl, the Chiefs don't prepare to stop Saquon, and in some sort of sense they did. They kind of dared, okay, sweet, we're gonna stop the run, we're gonna dare you to pass. How'd that go? Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
I'm like, dang. And that Eagles defense absolutely like, sweet, we're all gonna do the same thing, and we're gonna know. But again, Patrick Mahomes grill, and let's see if you can handle it. And absolutely just manhandled one of the better offensive linemen, a couple of offensive linemen in the NFL, and you know, kind of expose them.
Exactly. Cody, what do you think what I just said? Do you think I have a point there? Maybe it's like they just prepared, like Josh said, like very well in terms of the Eagles, but like maybe the Bills need a little bit more of a check-in when it comes to that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's definitely some like merit there. I don't know what it is with the Bills. I don't know if it's just in their heads. They get on the field with the Chiefs and they get tight or whatever. And then, I mean, the Eagles, what they were able to do to get after Mahomes, the Bills just don't have that kind of personnel on the defensive line. So they can get some of those players. I think that could really help. But I mean, shit, they're still there every time they play. I think it's just a little bit of psychological for them. Like they can't. Whenever that play's there to be made, they just don't make it. And whenever that play's there to be made for the Mahomes and the Chiefs, they seem to make it. So I don't know, because it's real close. I think that they get out coached every now and then too. I would take Andy Reid and Spagnuolo over their coaching staff. So I feel like Chiefs are more prepared in that situation where the Bills aren't, and they get a little tight.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, guys, it is 9:00. It is the end of From the Sideline segment. And we will pull this next time. I will pull up some things. We were just scrambling to get everybody on the same website to do the live stream, so I didn't get a chance to talk about our t-shirts. Yes, Josh, I don't know if you know this, but we have From the Sidelines t-shirts. And it's funny because if Jackson was here, he'd be like, "Oh, the insignia of like the t-shirts like is like the Panthers colors." So he's a huge Panthers fan. So if he was here, he would talk about it. But we have t-shirts that are selling for $19.99, and you can go to the Sports Fluent website. I will pull it up next time, and you can order your shirt in, I think, black or navy. So that's pretty cool. So we will all get those shirts, and we'll all be matching. And then one day we'll do a live stream about that. Thank you, Josh, for your first premiere episode with us From the Sidelines. So
appreciate
cool.
it. Thank
love
you.
Love the energy. And obviously, Cody, thank you again for joining me. And we will see you guys next week, 8 p.m. Eastern, From the Sidelines, YouTube, X, Facebook, LinkedIn. See you guys. Bye.
See you. Appreciate
Oh, Canada.
Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.